Currently she heads the thermal fabrication division, and she is expert in design, implementation, and testing of thermal control elements on low Earth orbits, GEOs, and interplanetary spacecraft. She has commenced very important and most valuable projects called GSAT 2, GSAT 14, GSAT 11, GSAT 19, INSAT 4B, INSAT 4CR, GSAT 7, GSAT 5B, HILAS, GSAT 12, OceanSat 2, Cartosat 3 series, and many more GEOs and IRS series spacecraft. Chandrayaan 1, Chandrayaan 2, Chandrayaan 3, and Mars Orbiter mission. All these are very high impact projects from India and successfully launched. There are developments under thermal control coating experiment onboard GSAT 14. Earlier, Madam held the positions like project manager, thermal fabrication, Chandrayaan 1, project manager, and thermal fabrication for Chandrayaan 2, orbiter craft, and project manager, thermal fabrication, Mars orbiter mission, project manager, thermal fabrication, GSAT 19, project manager, thermal fabrication, GSAT 11, and deputy project director, thermal systems, RSAT 1A, head geothermal implementation section. And to her credits, she received many awards like Team Excellence Award of Chandrayaan 1 during year 2008, and also Team Excellence Award for Mars Orbiter Mission MOM during the year 2013. This is a very brief bio of today's research person. I would like to invite our Vice Chairman, Sir, Professor S. Vijayabhaskar Rao Garu, to address and greet the participants, sir, on behalf of National Science Day. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Anil, for the nice introduction of the speaker. Madam, very good morning, and we thought of meeting you personally, but anyway, we were very happy to see you online, and thank you for accepting our invitation also. Thank you. And Dr. Anil has already given a detailed biodata of Madam. Madam is a very illustrated, very important scientist, renowned scientist in ISRO. So we are thankful for her for addressing this National Science Day. As all of you know that today we are all celebrating on 28th February National Science Day, and this year the theme is given as Women in Science. So we thought appropriate the madam should address this particular Science Day, and her speech will motivate some of the girl students or women scientists who are working in various universities and colleges to take up science as a passion. So we are all know that the theme and background of National Science Day every year we are celebrating. But as the theme is Women in Science, we should also remember a very prominent people who have contributed a lot to the science and technology of this great country. When you talk about the history and when you go back, we remember pioneers like Marie Curie, the first Nobel Prize woman in sciences, and of course she has awarded Nobel Prize in two different science streams. And in India also we know Janaki Ammal, a pioneering botanist whose work is given a global recognition. Asma Chatterjee, who has also contributed significantly to the chemistry, and we all know about Kalpana Chawla and other people. So these people have contributed a lot. Not only these people, but many women scientists without much recognition outside. They have done a lot of work in the area of science and technology. Today, women are in the forefront of space technology, biotechnology, material science, artificial intelligence, and quantum research. And we have witnessed the remarkable contribution of women scientists in the mission of ISRO, including the historic Chandrayaan and Mars mission. Their leadership and technical expertise symbolize a new era of gender inclusion in high-end research and strategic sectors. Though our enrollment shows that in the higher education system, women enrollment is improved, significantly improved in the engineering as well as in PG courses. Still, we need to do a lot, because when you look at the statistics, out of 1026 Nobel Prizes awarded, there are only 66 women, and even science, there are only 25 women. So that number still says that we need to do a lot in women in science and technology. We have to take. Of course, women have their difficulties, and we have to come out. The challenges are there: work-life balance pressures, limited mentorship opportunities are there, and bias in hiring and promotions, and there is a STEM leadership problem is also there. So we need to understand some of the problems and create an environment where girl students or women will come more in science and technology. So we had to encourage STEM disciplines in UG and PG level as the role of universities as a APSHI. We try to do that and promote interdisciplinary research opportunities. That is the NEP 2020 also we are taking out that. Provide seed grants and research fellowships for women scientists, establish mentoring network, linking senior women scientists with early career researchers. So all this will ensure and the opportunities for women as leaders of future science. So we need to understand the limitations, and we need to go beyond the limitations and achieve the targets now. The government of India is also taken up initiatives, and there was many schemes are given to women. But unfortunately, the technical education people are going, but for sciences like basic sciences, the students are not coming. So there is also problem. So we have to encourage that. In this context, I think we invited Madam, and Padmaja Madam will enlighten in her lecture the contribution of women and also the opportunities for women. And I think she will also give a general talk about how the women can lead science and technology in this country. Madam, with this brief introduction, I request you to kindly take over the uh, presentation and then address the gathering. Thank you, madam.
Thank you very much, sir. I guess I'm online with some of the students, right? Yeah, okay.
Faculty as well. Faculty as well.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yeah, respected Professor Madhumurthy, sir, and Vijay Bhaskar, sir, and Dr. Anil, who is in touch with me from the last few days for this particular event, and all other dignitaries who have joined online, and also the students who are the main backbone for this today's program. Wish you all a very pleasant morning. So I'm really happy and feel privileged and honored that I'm with you all people today, and especially to share some of my thoughts and some of my experiences with the young generation. Because even though I'm not physically seeing them, but always connecting with young generation makes me more energetic and boosts me more to go forward with the things. So, and I also have to thank this AP Council of Higher Education that in the initiative Tisconi, so they have come forward to bring us online and to make me connect to all other people. So, anyway, National Science Day gurinchi, sir, I think should I go more in Telugu or English? Okay. So, because sir told students are there, I thought maybe should I speak little more in Telugu?
Yeah, as you wish, you can do both. No problem.
Right, sir. Actually, anyway, National Science Day, Anadi, we know all the children and all the people who are in the science field know. We have started it, means it has been started with a thing to induce scientific temperament in kids and then to make them to feel motivated about what are the opportunities in science. When you do some experiments and show them, demonstrate them, so it creates more interest and curiosity. That has been happening over so many years. But this year, or in addition to that, there is one more theme for this year, which is women in science and how we can catalyze the improvement and how we can accelerate the growth story of Bharat. But maybe the children should ask this question, why women in science? Science has got no gender. Women, men, everybody will be doing it, right? So maybe to answer this question little, we may have to go into statistics. So as a population, manamu 50% women unna kuda science and research areas lo contribution of women is less than 20%. Even if you go to, even that also includes the people in entry level or middle levels. If you really see the people in the leadership positions who are in senior positions, the percentage may be less than 10% or so. Why this kind of gap has come in? So maybe there are some reasons which are traditional. Maybe traditionally the opportunities were comparatively less and facilities available for less. Maybe olden days, women had to take care of household things. Now also we need to do that. We are being, along with being homemakers, we have to take care of children, because children biologically, they depend on moms for more time than dads. So obviously all these things factors were there. So we were getting limiting ourselves to a kind of desk kind of a jobs, or doing only limited time jobs, so that we can go back early and then concentrate on the other things. Whereas science requires little more involvement kind of a thing. But over a period of time, maybe we also started thinking that our brains are not wired for that. But if maybe some of you kids, I will recommend you go back and you talk to your grandmoms, or maybe even say, next generation people, if they are available at home, you will observe that many of the things that your grandmoms and senior people are doing at home, like in the kitchen or some home remedies, and how they cook food, everything, there is a certain amount of science involved in everything, and they are very well aware of it. Maybe they're not expressing it in terms of research paper in search of a scientific content, but they are very well aware of the science. So this is just to say that the brains of women are equally, or maybe if not more, equally capable of understanding science and maths, because people were thinking that women, because there are certain jokes also you people would have seen that some girls not good at math, like that. So, but it's not like that. It's just a matter of joke only. But we are equally brainy and equally powerful to take up the sciences and then go ahead. Then, okay, having got this gap for so many years, things are slowly improving, but they are not improving in the speed or in the pace at which we want to see the country to move forward. So there needs to be some more thing that has to be done here. And just to quote here, little general aspects, I just want to tell about my experience. Not like a, means my experience is not like a big achievement kind of a life story. But why I'm telling is just so that the young girls can relate to it in a more easy way, because I'm also I also came from the same kind of a background from Andhra, from Kakinada I studied. So you may be able to relate it better. So I have completed my 10th standard, and after that, and as usual, my brain was actually more into maths and science. Social was and theory subjects were very difficult for me. So it became an obvious choice for me to take up engineering. I went into engineering and I did a mechanical engineering from JNTU College of Engineering in 94-98 batch. And at that time also, if you see, maybe even today also things wouldn't have changed much. In mechanical and civil, you see the number of girls enrolling will be much lesser. Maybe that might be a trend today also. So, and even within the less number of girls also, people who continue with the core engineering sciences are lesser, because after completing the graduation, many of the people go towards the software jobs. Anyway, opportunities are also more there in software only. That also I have to accept that fact. So after completing my graduation, I was very lucky that within a year I got placed in ISRO. And my journey of more than 2 decades, 25 years in ISRO, has been really tremendous. Excellent kind of a interaction, excellent experience I have had here. So I just want to say one or two points with respect to ISRO, not that I'm marketing it, but yes, you enter into the organization, the superiors, whoever are giving you work, will never see your gender. Whether you are a boy or girl, or miss you are man or woman, anything, no one sees. It's only the work that matters to you. You will be working 24/7. You will be working physically. Like I was into the hardware area. Sir has given me my introduction. I was working in temperature control zone. I am. So I used to physically, we have to go around the satellite, go on the ladders, do the work. So everything is a challenge. So, but nothing stops. No one says that, no, you are a girl, you cannot work in the night. You are a girl, you won't be able to do this. No, they just see work as a work. Gender doesn't come into picture for them. And the more you do, the more will be the work to you. So again, work means we should not think that more work is more pain. No, more work is more opportunities. The more opportunities you have, the capacity, you have the opportunity to show your caliber and then say that, yes, I am able to deliver better. That's how more and more opportunities do come. They make your environment very well secure. You won't feel, many times I was the only girl or only women in the team with all men around. But no one feels anything about it, because the environment is made very safe. We comfortably work, deliver, and come back. So this is the beautiful thing of ISRO. So moving forward, maybe because of this culture also, I was able to really gel with the situation. And then I was given my first project. Chandrayaan-1 was my first project as a project manager. And I got a lot of support from my superiors. And during that time only, I have had my daughter, and I have got a husband who is really very supportive. And here, one more point I have to say to all the people who means moving forward when you get into life, for all the girls, when you get married, go in future, because you will have a lot of family responsibilities also. The thing is, women are super, no doubt about it. But don't try to be super women all the time. There is nothing wrong in seeking support from your family, extended family during the times. Otherwise, you will not be able to balance the things. Like I have taken support from when my husband was cooperating. When he was also busy, my parents used to support, or my cousin used to support. There were many people who were supporting. That's how I was able to execute in all the places. If you really think that everything I only need to do, then it gets little difficult, because you will not be able to satisfy yourself. And then in the entire process, the only thing that gets compromised is your career or your interest in passion in the subject. Because what happens is your family, your home, your kids, none of them can be compromised, should be also. So this is the one that gets compromised. So once we start keeping less expectations on ourselves and trying to make a balance about the things, you will be able to execute and deliver better. Like this, moving forward, I have got many more opportunities. As sir told, was really privileged to work in Mars Orbiter, Chandrayaan. There were many more communication and remote sensing projects. And the story had been so good. I mean that they recognize your potential, and then opportunities keep flowing, keep working, we keep growing. And today I'm really happy with the way I have grown in this organization and the way I could manage my surroundings. And I'm really happy to say that in the mechanical areas, I am the senior most in my organization, maybe the senior most scientist in the current designation where I am in. And it has got nothing to do only with me. It is only because of the surroundings which are there to me. It's only my job to take that opportunity, to just not let it slip away. As sir told, there are many more things which are being done in the university level and from the school level onwards. So many opportunities are being given, scholarships. So please make use of that. Don't give up on that. So now maybe because I'm a space scientist, I may be talking more about space, but still I will say that whoever is interested in space sciences, please don't hesitate, come forward and take up space sciences. You have got a lot of exciting projects ahead. You have Gaganyaan, we have Venus Orbiter, we have Mars Lander, we have many, many more things to do. Now, other than space also, you would have seen during our COVID time, there are many women scientists who have worked in the background. They are all silent heroes, which we may not be even knowing their names, but they have worked day and night during the critical times and ensured that the vaccine was available in time. Similar is the case in everything like the basic physics or environmental sciences, or every area there are people. But due to some reasons, the women are not taking it up to a senior level, because they are quitting at some stage because of whatever are the reasons best known to them. Please don't give up. The only option that is there, or you have to consider that there is no option to give up. Having entered into something because it's my passion, I need to go with it no matter what happens. Yes, there will be ups and downs in personal, professional lives. Support will come in. That crisis time also will pass, but please don't give up on anything. Make use of all the opportunities. And the biggest advantage that we have today is the phone, which is in hand. See, every information is available. So the very fact that today I'm able to connect and speak to you all people, even though physically I'm not there, this itself is an opportunity. Like this, you will be able to connect with anyone you want, and any information you will be able to get. So there are many days that we just go back home after office, and our meetings are scheduled after 6:30, 7 p.m. onwards. There are a lot of flexibility available. And the best thing is that even though I don't recommend to use it on daily basis, you have Swiggy, you have Zomato. So if you're not able to make food at the right time, so little bit it gets delayed. Yes, children will adjust for a day. Your husband will adjust for a day. Nothing goes from that, but please don't follow it on daily basis, not good for health. But there are always ways to see. So, but ultimately what is important is that don't kill your passion for want of any other circumstances or societal things. Keep your passion burning. Because after a certain amount of time, once children grow up and everything, then you will start feeling that I could have compromised little bit, I would have managed and I would have contributed much better. But I just want to leave this talk with one quote from by Mae Jemison, who is the first African woman astronaut in space. Don't let anyone rob you of your imagination, your creativity, or your curiosity. It's your place in this world, it's your life. Go on and do all you can do with it and make it the life that you want to live. Yes, please have a happy and balanced life where you are fulfilling your passion, and along with your contribution you are actually accelerating the speed. Now you are going shoulder to shoulder with the men who are working out there, so that your innovations will be faster, your outcomes will be faster. And please remember, what we are doing today is not just for ourselves or for anybody else. It's for our own children, our own grandchildren. It's for the next generation who are going to really have a much better society around us. So with this, I am really looking forward to see more and more women scientists from this audience in future. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Thank you so much, sir. Jai Hind.
Thank you, madam, for your wonderful presentation. Now I request Vice Chairman sir to speak on this.
Thank you, madam. Thank you for giving a opportunity for all the women students and faculty, and you have shared your experience and you also guided them how to move forward in your professional life. So thank you for coming and thank you addressing all the students and participants. Once again, I express my thankful to you because we are not able to meet personally, but it is good that you came online and given your advice. Thank you. Anil.
Thank you, madam. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Now I request all the participants to please stay back. Within 5 minutes, we can start another session on artificial intelligence in higher education and some pedagogical methods, particularly for commerce and management. Of course, it covers entire higher education part, the application part of the AI in higher education, and specifically focusing on commerce as well as the management. I request all the participants, please stay back. Meanwhile, as today's resource person is a very, very important high stake resource person, particularly in the satellite area in India. And the floor is open for all of you. You can interact with madam so that even students can interact. I request if students are there, please facilitate them because students are very curious when compared to the faculty members. Meanwhile, we can utilize this platform for the interactive session. I request all the participants, please unmute yourself and you can interact.
The floor is open. Anybody want to have any interaction with the speaker? Please come forward. Unmute yourself and you can do that.
Anybody, please, you can raise hand or you can unmute yourself. You're allowed to speak. Any faculty members? Madam, from AP State Council of Higher Education, actually recently we have conducted one hackathon, a national level hackathon on quantum computing and quantum algorithms. We are planning to arrange some tour to some hubs. Is it possible to arrange a tour for your center as well, madam? All the winners and runners, there are 20 batches are there, madam. Each batch consists of 6 members. And very importantly, they aptly fitting this is when I read the UNESCO report on quantum technologies, there are only one woman out of 54 men in quantum technologies across the world. Where in that background, we have mandatorily included one girl students mandatorily for every batch. So to our surprise, madam, we have more girls than the boys for this quantum technology from AP alone. Of course, this is we made it mandatory for the rest of India also. So surprisingly, in quantum technology from India, now the girl students are very high when compared to the boys. So this is one positive aspect I can mention during this very important day, because women in science, the theme is that. So is it possible to depute some of our students to your center for the exposure? And another one is, are you providing any internships for them? At least for this high tech people in quantum technology, even the space technology. Is there any provision for internships as well as the visits?
Yeah. Sir, coming to this visit to the center, I will share you one mail ID, because there is a group which is looking after, because they will schedule it, because there is many students will be coming. So they will make a schedule and they will facilitate that, sir. You can please send one mail to them and they will give you the time slot so that you can come with the team and then do it. Coming to the internships, yes, there is a Yuvika program, but that is for the students which are of 9th, 10th standard. Beyond 12th and all, as of now, directly internship is not there, but maybe if this number of students and the potential is more, they will surely try to add something. So one more thing that I would like to recommend is, since you are mentioning specifically about the quantum, a little more research into quantum is happening in the Space Application Center, Ahmedabad. Even though URS is also doing it, they are developing some payloads for the future missions in Ahmedabad Center. So I will send you an email for that also, so that little more opportunities will be there in SAC. But our center, you can please visit that, sir. Yes, children will surely be interested to see the facilities and see the satellites and all, so that they can get motivated and boosted.
Great, madam. Thank you. Even the National Quantum Mission promised us to arrange some internships as well as some tours to the different hubs across India, like IIT Bangalore, IIT Madras, CDAC Bangalore, IIT Delhi, like this. So whenever they visit to IIT Bangalore, they may visit your center also.
Yeah, sure, sir. But this is a good thing that you have told me that there are more girl students who are in this. And we wish.
Actually, yeah, this is the occasion.
Yeah. We wish that they will continue and then they just continue in the same proportion, sir.
Not only that, madam, even today's participants are also more women are there because actually this is a recognition for women in science.
Yeah. Yes.
So I request any woman faculty member, please, you can interact, because you can appreciate, it is an opportunity to appreciate madam, because she is a high spec scientist from ISRO itself. She is working in a very high tech missions like GSAT, GEOS, IRS, INSAT, like this, whatnot. So maybe you can take this as an opportunity to acknowledge, because is a successful woman scientist in satellite technology.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Before that, I have a small question to the resource person, sir.
Yes, sir, please.
Sir, this is Dr. Shafiullah Basha, sir, Associate Professor in the Department of EC, Yogi Vemana University Engineering College, Pradipur, sir. Sir, my question is, Madam was telling that they are offering Yuvika program for 9th and 10th class standard students. Sir, in that program, what, Madam, you are offering to the students, Madam? May I know, please, about that?
Yeah, sir, broadly in that program, what they do is they give an introduction about all the technologies which are associated with space. Like from outside, it will look like means ISRO is one organization, but within this there are a lot of specializations are there where you have rocket science and you have satellite building and then you have the payload building and all that. So they'll give an introduction about all the kind of activities that happen within ISRO so that the students can channelize their area of interest and they can take it forward. They even arrange for the facility visit also across the centers. Like, as you know, our launch happens from Sriharikota, and Trivandrum is a place where the rocket related research happens. And in Bangalore, we do the satellite based research. So like this, no, they arrange visit to the different places so that children can see all the facilities and see what and all work will be done so that they can really find out where their interest lies in and take it forward.
Okay, thank you so much, madam. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Good afternoon. I am Arunima from BPIT, Bhagwan Prashnam Institute of Technology, Delhi. As you said that your center is means have a program you are set. So for the 9th and 10th student, but sometimes some student have not developed any kind of interest during the 9th and 10th. And later on, when they admitted in the BTech, they have developed and they are curious about that to get the value. So can we visit there for the BTech student? Do you have any opportunity or some kind of facility to get the
Yes,
opportunity just you are providing to the 9th, 10th student?
Ma'am, for graduation students, actually the kind of intense program is not there like 9th and 10th students. But the students, as with the same procedures, the children can come and they can visit the center, see what and all happens. Then the way to, then after that, what happens? Yeah. Yeah, then they can get into ISRO by applying for directly for the job. And there are, for the BTech students, sorry.
I request all participants, only the speaker has to allow. Kalyani madam, please mute yourself. Kalla Kalyani, please mute yourself. Thank you.
Yeah, for the BTech.
Kalla Kalyani madam, please mute yourself.
Yeah, ma'am, for the BTech student, there's an opportunity to do internship also. In the month of May and November, there will be twice it gets opened in online. So they can apply for the internship. They can come here, be with us for about 45 days and they can see the facilities and then they can understand what happens in this. But after that, if you have to regularly, when people are interested to get into ISRO, then you will have to come, they will have to come through the regular recruitment process.
Sorry, ma'am. Can you repeat when they open that portal to apply for the internship?
Internship will be sometime in the month of May and November, like that. They will open twice because there will be 2 batches every year. In both the semester times, they will be called for internship. So
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you.
Yeah, you can just see the ISRO website. You can keep browsing once in a while, or you can browse through the specific center websites also, like URSC or SAC. Maybe I can share the links with sir and Anil sir. Maybe he can share with all of you. You can just keep seeing it for the specific time. When it gets opened, it can be, you can apply. The students can apply.
Thank you very much, ma'am, for all kind of information what I required actually. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Hello. Hello. Good morning, madam.
Yeah, good morning, ma'am.
It's very happy to talk with you, madam.
Thank
And
you.
I am Prasanna Lakshmi from Andhra Kesari University, Ongole, madam. From
Okay.
Organic Chemistry Department, I am faculty. And we have a very good and talented students, even though girl students are there. I want to know what are the career opportunities from your institution and how to build a career as a chemistry students to reach your like you, ma'am. Please, I want some instruction.
Yeah. Ma'am, for chemistry students, actually there will be two kinds of openings will be there. Generally, like as a BSc chemistry or MSc chemistry qualification, means BSc with sciences and MSc chemistry qualification, people can join as scientific assistants. That also, when there will be periodically the recruitment happens, at that time the openings will come. And if you really see the chemistry thing, no, there are a lot of new materials and new processes which are getting developed, because for rocket sciences, as you know, there will be many weight is one criteria. We need to have high strength and low mass materials and high performance materials for high temperatures like re-entry missions and all. No, we'll be requiring materials which are lightweight and which can withstand very high temperatures. So there are a lot of material research also that happens. So, but the thing to we have to enter into this means we need to come to the recruitment process, and it will an advertisement gets notified in ISRO website.
Okay, madam. Definitely, we will check the website. And thank you very much for your valuable advice. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Any other persons? Because madam is here, so you have any sort of advice or your guidance type of thing you can ask and get clarified from madam. Because we thought a woman scientist will be appropriate to address on this science day. So all the women participants, teachers, students should take this opportunity, utilize this, talk to madam. She said very general talk that how to manage both profession as well as your career and then other things, family and other things. So that is the important message, because for all the women working women, we need to balance. Society is there, family is there, office is there. So how do you balance that? That is important point madam has mentioned. Okay, I think if anybody is there, talk to them. Or
I think if there are no queries, I may invite the first person. I think Professor Srinivas Kumar Garu. Sir, are you there, sir?
Good morning, everyone. This is Srinivas. Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are audible.
Thank you very much.
Sir, thank you very much, sir, for coming, joining. Just a minute, sir. Madam, I thank you very much for sharing your valuable time and addressing all the participants here. And we are also live streaming through YouTube channel, and this is shared to all our students, madam. Definitely we will take your support for arranging internships to our students as well as during the visit also to your center. For sparing this valuable time during this National Science Day, on behalf of AP State Council of Higher Education and on behalf of all the students as well as faculty across AP, I bid thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir. It's always a pleasure to interact with you and your team. Thank you so much.
thank you very much. Thank you.
And now I would like to invite today's resource person for AI in higher education. Professor D. Venkata Srinivas Kumar Garu is a professor marketing and business analytics, the program coordinator MBA Business Analytics, the School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad. Sri Venkata Srinivas Kumar is a professor of marketing and business analytics at the School of Management Studies, University of Hyderabad, with over 2 decades of academic and industry experience. His expertise spans artificial intelligence applications in marketing, marketing analytics, customer experience management, consumer behavior, digital marketing, and CRM. He has been with the university since 2010. He is an invited speaker at various management institutes on the topics related to marketing and analytics, AI and machine learning in business and marketing, research methodology in management and social sciences, digital and social media marketing, customer experience management, customer relationship management, etc. His qualifications are PhD in Management Studies, University of Hyderabad, MBA Marketing, Andhra University, and BTech Mechanical Engineering in Nagarjuna University, His research interests include customer experience management, digital marketing and CRM, consumer behavior, marketing analytics, AI and machine learning in marketing, and a sustainable business. Awards and distinctions include Best Teacher Award, Pendicant Institute of Management, Hyderabad. Excellence Award, NIT Network Center, Vijayawada. Best Research Paper Award, JBIMS, University of Mumbai. His major research projects include customer acceptance of AI in healthcare, Institution of Eminence, University of Hyderabad, employment and employability of graduates in India, NUPA, and ICT impact on rural livelihoods, that is UGC UP phase 2 completed. And he is, to his credit, he already under his supervision, 7 candidates awarded PhD and 2 submitted to ongoing. And recent research publications included customer adoption of AI in healthcare, health marketing quarterly, privacy calculus and smartwatch adoption, Rajgiri Management Journal, advertising and persuasion knowledge addition Springer, brand personality assessment using ML, ISA-IMA 2024. So he, apart from his academics and research, he has also has a lot of administrative roles. For example, as a program coordinator for MBA Business Analytics and Program, and a former coordinator MBA General Program, former placement coordinator School of Management Studies. This is a brief intro of today's research person. He is also contributing to the MOOCs online platform, and some workshops, he also conducted different workshops at FDPs. He is a professional member in Purchase Committee and Campus Network Facility, etc. This is a brief section of today's research person. Now, I welcome you, sir, and I also thank you very much for sparing your valuable time. And the floor is open for you. Thank you, sir.
So thank you very much, Professor Anil, for introducing me. That was quite a good introduction. And at the onset, let me actually thank Andhra Pradesh State Council of Higher Education for giving me this opportunity. The topic which is given to me is related to AI in higher education. What are the implications for teaching as well as learning? Sir, with your permission, I have a small what you call presentation. Can I share?
Yes, sir, you are allowed. You are now presenter.
Okay, sir. Just a minute. I'll just do that.
Professor Vijay Bhaskar Rao Garu, Vice Chairman, and also there, sir, online.
Okay.
And,
Namaskaram, Professor Vijay Bhaskar Rao Garu. Okay.
Sir, good morning, sir. Namaste.
Good
Thank
morning,
you.
Dr. Nice meeting you, and
Thank you
thanks
for
for
coming
the
online and
opportunity
giving the
given to
talk,
us.
sir. Yeah.
And all of us are in the academic side, and you have really looked at a very important topic which is related to AI and its adoption, right? Anil Garu,
Yes, sir.
is my screen being seen?
yeah,
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I would like to announce another very important announcement. From Monday onwards, all our commerce faculty as well as life science faculty are coming to University of Hyderabad. Maybe you already you know this because you are also one of the resource persons there. Sir, in this background, I would like to inform all the participants. Please make use of this very important facility where University of Hyderabad, under the Center of Excellence and Executive Council, they have arranged 5-day residential online teaching on applications of the various discipline-specific applications on AI. So to start with, from Monday onwards, that is from 2nd to 6th, there is 40 members are coming there, sir, for life sciences, and another 40 from commerce and management coming there, sir. So the APSHA is taking all the initiatives regarding the faculty training, very important and core area of AP State Council of Higher Education. On behalf of APSHA, our chairman, Professor K. Madhumurthy Garu, Vice Chairman Vijay Bhaskar, actually he has designed the program, and the funding is also from ROSA, where our Vijay Bhaskar Rao is the nodal officer. And in collaboration with Andhra University and Commissioner of College Education, we are doing in a mega scale, large scale, sir. Thanks for all your support.
Good to know, sir, and happy to associate with you also. Right. Okay. Okay. Now, just giving a basic idea in terms of what we are going to do in the next 1 hour or so, let me tell you that this is going to be a very interesting topic, which is related to what is happening currently with all of us. All of us in the academics, we are getting affected by the artificial intelligence. So what I'm going to do is, since some of you may be having a technical background and some of you may not be having a technical background, I'll be taking a very common man's perspective in terms of looking at AI. And then we will also look at what are the implications for higher education, especially in the context of teaching as well as learning. Now, just before I can start with this, just to give you an idea,
Yeah, there is some problem. The speaker will connect in some after a few minutes.
Okay, hope I am audible.
Yes, sir, you're audible.
Okay, thank you, sir. I'm very sorry, there was a short circuit outside there. So I just shifted my room. Okay, so as I told you, we are going to look at a very interesting topic today, which is related to the impact of AI in higher education. So I'll just share a small presentation that will basically keep you glued to the what you call discussion, because we can look at AI from different perspectives, especially when you are seeing as to how it is going to affect the teaching as well as how it is going to affect the learning also from a student perspective, right? So just taking a minute here, I'm going to start this presentation. We'll
Sir, we
start.
are not able to see your video, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. I think let me just see, sir. Just a minute. Just give me a minute, sir. I will adjust my video.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay.
Okay, I think it will take a few seconds, sir. So meanwhile, what I will do is I will start sharing my presentation. Okay.
Yes, sir, it is visible.
Okay, thank you, sir.
If there is an issue with the video, sir, you can go along with it because PPT is visible.
Sure, sir. Sure, sir. Because once I get into the PPT mode, it becomes really interesting for us to go through this. Okay. So as I told you, manaku starting lo nak vignam vachindi. So let us hope that we will be able to continue this without any further disturbances. My idea here is to discuss about higher education, especially in the context of AI. But I know that it might bore some of you. But basically, both for the audience and as well as for me, today the challenge is how do we survive a lecture without sleeping? Now, if you look at this particular slide, this is quite interesting. A student was caught with a mobile phone in the examination hall, where he just scanned the question paper. He just scanned the question paper, and then just the answers are there. This is the current reality. He just scanned the question paper. He need not even search for answers. I think all of you might have understood that this is basically a scenario related to usage of a tool like ChatGPT. You just scan the questions and answers are there. This is how students are using. But at the same time, if I look at the other side of the coin, I think most of you would have gone through this particular article where around 3-4 months back, there was an article in almost all the major newspapers that one of the college student of a US-based university known as Northeastern University, she said that I want my tuition fee back because she caught her professor secretly using ChatGPT to create the class notes. But at the same time, they were warning students not to use it, right? So this is quite interesting, especially when we look at how this AI is going to have an impact, a major impact, both from the student perspective as well as from the teacher perspective. That means the reality today is that whether we accept it or not, both the students are using the AI and the professors are also using the AI. And in fact, this is not only related to teaching. If you look at the research perspective, you can see on the right side, opinion paper. So what if ChatGPT wrote it? Multidisciplinary perspectives on opportunities, challenges, and implications of generative conversational AI for research, practice, and policy. Just see that there is a paper that gets published in one of the leading international journals, which actually discusses about the usage of ChatGPT in terms of writing a research paper. Now, if you look at the very recent news related to the AI and the higher education, IIT Delhi sets new rules for generative AI tool usage by students and faculty. So guidelines have been prepared on recommendations of a panel that found in an internal survey that at least 80% of the students and 77% of the faculty members have been using AI tools. Now, very recently, one more scenario. To use or not is no longer the question. From IITs to universities, like say, for example, Delhi University, universities are fighting unethical AI usage. So before I get into that, what is the backdrop here? So we all know that around 3 to 4 years back, we had this tool called as ChatGPT being released. Of course, ChatGPT is only an example. There are also other tools that are there, which we'll see later. So interestingly, what is happening is this tool has become very much efficient in terms of even giving the answers for the tough examinations related to law, medicine, history, operations, you name it, everything is there, right? So it is quite interesting because how it would have an impact in terms of the way the curriculums are designed and how does the students learn. These are the major questions that are there. Now, before I get into this, I would like to just have a small feedback from you. Shall we spend a few minutes, around 10 minutes, on understanding what is AI before getting into the impact of AI in higher education? Any one of you, can you please respond? Is it needed that we need to have a little bit of understanding of AI? Anil Garu, am I audible? Hello. So if I'm basically looking at the scenario where we are going to have a little bit of understanding in terms of how AI is being used, any of the other participants, can you please tell me whether you would like to have a little bit of idea? Yeah, I think someone has already said that they would like to have a basic understanding in terms of the usage of AI. So when we get into this particular perspective as to how AI is being used here, now we have a very, very interesting scenario. Because what is AI, how it is going to impact, every one of us know that basically AI is going to have an impact, but at the same time, how this AI works, that is quite interesting. Now, if you look at some of the leaders related to AI, like Professor Andrew Ng, right? He is a founder of Coursera, DeepLearning.ai. He says that AI is the new electricity. It will transform every industry. Just to look at the potential of AI, right? So generally, when we are talking about this artificial intelligence, this particular intelligence is capable of performing tasks that historically required human intelligence. So it can recognize the speech, it can make decisions quite interesting, it can identify the patterns. So generative AI tools tend to use the NLP, natural language processing, meaning they can interpret and react to standard human language. Quite interesting. Today, all of us speak to our phones, and then we are going to get the responses from the phone, right? But at the same time, a caution here, being in different disciplines, we need to have a basic understanding of how this AI works. We are not really looking at writing algorithms or making programming, but we are looking at a fundamental understanding in terms of how things work, right? So let us try to first understand what is AI. If you look at AI, can AI do everything that human beings can do at a time? Like, say, for example, I could be doing multiple things. I can drive a car, right? I can teach in the class. I can go to the market and buy things. This is known as artificial general intelligence. But as of now, if you really see, we have AI that got developed for doing specific tasks. That is what is known as artificial narrow intelligence. So general intelligence means AI is capable of doing multiple tasks just like the way human beings do. Whereas when you're talking about narrow intelligence, it is basically related to the scenario where AI does specific tasks. Like if a AI is developed to drive a car, it will be driving a car. If a AI is built as a chatbot, it keeps on interacting with the visitors to the website. This is how it is. So what is the difference between AI and the earlier programming, right? Generally, we get this particular question. See, generally what happens is in the classical programming, you give certain rules and the data, and then the program works and gives the answers. But here the interesting thing is you give the data and the answers, machine will understand the relationship between the data and the answers, and it generates the rules. So nothing to worry in terms of the technicalities related to this. When you're talking about AI, you also need to look at a term called as machine learning, right? So machine learning is a scientific discipline concerned with design and development of algorithms. Algorithms are nothing but a sequence of rules or a sequence of instructions that are given to the computer. But at the same time, AI is much more broader compared to machine learning. AI is much more broader. It just is concerned with making computers behave like human beings. So if you look at the history of AI, it started in 1956 by John McCarthy, a professor at MIT. But at the same time, it did not develop because of the lack of the computing power and the lack of the data. But over a period of time, if you really look at the way data explosion has occurred, the internet was there, and then powerful computers have come. Now, that basically led to a revisit into the artificial intelligence technologies, and that's how AI got a boost later, right? Of course, there are a few perspectives given by different professors in terms of how we can look at the AI part. That is not required. The basic idea is like this. Just give you an idea about this. Suppose if I show 1,000 pictures of cats to a computer or a system and tell that it is a cat, and another 1,000 pictures of dog and say that it is a dog, based on the pattern recognition, can the computer generalize? Can the system generalize? And then it will be able to distinguish between a cat and a dog. This is the most common way in which you can really understand as to how the machines learn, because here machines are learning from the data, and based on the learning, they are able to perform the tasks. So data is given as the input, the data is understood using an algorithm, and then the generalization is there. Like I said, without going into the technicalities, if you look at supervised learning, there is one perspective where you give the input as well as the output. You give a picture of a dog and call it as a dog. You give a picture of cat and call it as a cat, right? Or you give a picture of dog and call it as +1. You give a picture of cat and call it as -1, right? Then it is going to basically understand, and later it forms the relationship and it is able to do that. Similarly, there is something known as unsupervised learning also. Say, for example, today, if you're looking at buying things on Amazon, right? So what Amazon does is, based on your what you call purchases, as well as based on the current product that you are looking at, it gives you recommendations related to what are the other products that you can buy, which is also quite interesting. So there are, of course, the differences between supervised and unsupervised not required by you. But then as we start looking at this, what we are trying to say here is, basically speaking, the machines, right, they use the training to understand. Machines are trained using the data. And then once they're trained using the data, say, for example, if you look at this small picture, fruits are there. This is a watermelon, this is a banana, these are oranges. You train it. And then what happens next time when you're giving the input, based on its training, it will try to give the output. This is how it is. As we come into the artificial intelligence, there is a concept called as deep learning, which uses what are known as neural networks. So right now, you need not worry about the technicalities related to neural networks, but then the whole idea is like that. Just like the way our nervous system works, the neurons in the human body work, we have neural networks that will basically help the system to take the input and convert the output, right? So instead of teaching computers to process and learn from the data, with the deep learning, computer trains itself, processes the data and learns from the data. So this is purely a technical perspective, but at the same time, this is how, especially when you're talking about the cutting edge of artificial intelligence, right? Similar to earlier scenarios, going a step further, we're basically looking at understanding the term called as the deep learning. Similarly, there's something called as reinforcement learning. So what the system does is, it tries to look in terms of taking an action. If the outcome is positive, it will repeat the action. If the outcome is negative, it won't repeat that particular action. You can just see a small example related to gaming as to how it is done, right? Now let us come to the core part of this. When we are talking about artificial general intelligence, the whole idea is like this. This system can learn, understand, and solve any problem that a human can. Artificial general intelligence. Right now, we are not at artificial general intelligence. We are right now at artificial narrow intelligence. A simple scenario here is, all of you use your smartphones. So when you're basically using your smartphones are able to recognize your face. Your smartphones are able to recognize your fingerprint, and it is getting unlocked. One of the examples, right? And very recently, in the sense last 2 years or so, there was this term called as LLMs, right? large language models, like our ChatGPT is the best example. So in the large data sets, what happens is you give a question, it tries to give an answer, like a human-like output that is there, right? And this is possible through the technology, because the technology has been developed in such a manner that it will try to give a coherent and a compelling human-like output in response to a question or a statement. Now, why you call it as generative AI? Today, really, if you look at the AI part, we start talking about generative AI, which is known as Gen AI, right? So any generation of the content is generative AI. So typically, what does our ChatGPT do? You ask it to generate some content. You ask a question, it will give you an answer. You ask it to draw a particular diagram, it is going to do that, right? So what happens here is, in the generative AI, right, we have text, images, music, videos, 2D models, 3D models, right? All these are getting generated. That is the reason why this is known as generative AI. So the simple idea of generative AI is that this is an artificial intelligence which generates the content, right? Any kind of content it is going to generate. This is what is known as a generative AI. So when we are talking about this ChatGPT kind of a scenario, let's just try to see what it actually means. Okay, first thing is that when you're talking about GPT, right? Chat, chat-based generative pre-trained transformer, it is known as chat-based generative pre-trained transformer. What is generative? Already we have seen that generative is the term that is related to any content being generated. So in this particular case for the ChatGPT, what is happening is it can generate response to the questions. So it has been trained with, see how it is able to answer our questions. This model has been trained with billions of parameters. All the content on the internet has been fed into this, and then based on its ability to understand from that particular data, it is able to give you the answers. So what is happening here, to give the answers, there is another technology called as a transformer. It can process sentences differently than other types of models, right? So as I told you, what happens here is, just like we have seen something about what is known as a neural network, right? Neural networks are the cutting edge technologies for the artificial intelligence. That means they can process and learn from the data by themselves. So in this particular case, when you're talking about the transformer, it's a neural network, right? So what it does is, it will take that particular question, it will try to understand and respond to the language in a coherent and a contextually relevant way. To give you a small example, when you're today typing on your smartphones, if it is WhatsApp or any other thing, when you type a word, it basically tries to guess the next word. But in this case, it has gone much further, where what it is doing is, it is basically able to take the input from you, and then it is trying to understand it using the transformer neural architecture, and then it is going to respond to your whatever the questions that you have asked, right? Now, these are n number of applications. Just you can see, if you today talk about the artificial intelligence, right? Most of our mobile phones, they are equipped with the artificial intelligence. Today, you look at a website, you need not interact with a human being. There's something called as chatbot. You type in, they are going to basically interact with you. Like I said in the earlier scenario, Amazon, it makes recommendations, right? Now you have your taxi booking, ride sharing applications that are there, right? They do a lot of analysis with the data and try to see how much is the demand versus how much is the supply, how to basically determine the price. If it is a peak time, the price automatically increases. If it is not a peak time, prices are automatically going to decrease. So like that, many examples. We may or may not realize that AI is behind this, but we live in a world where we are completely surrounded by AI. And most importantly, if you are looking at education as well as healthcare, these two sectors have very interesting applications related to the AI part. Now, let us look at AI in teaching and learning, right? So with a little bit of introduction related to this AI part, we are basically looking at AI in teaching and learning. At this point of time, any one of you have questions? Any questions? Before we go further, you have any questions? Okay, right? So now what we are going to do is, we are basically going to look in terms of the role of AI in teaching as well as learning. So essentially what we are going to do is, we are going to look at the AI from teaching as well as learning. So as I told you earlier, both the teaching community is using as well as the student community is using the AI part in one or the other manner. So let us see this to start with. When it comes to teaching, let us see how AI could be used in teaching. So one is the intelligent tutoring system. What it means, we'll see. Dialogue-based tutoring, language learning applications. So here, when you talk about the intelligent tutoring systems, what is happening is AI is deployed to give personalized, adaptive instruction and feedback to the learners. Quite interesting. You have a technology that is basically trying to adapt to the level of learning of the individual student. So what is happening here? You have one-on-one tutoring and you're adapting to the student needs and the feedback is immediate, right? You're also looking at adjusting the difficulty level of the content. That means it is not like a mass classroom where maybe you're keeping some 50 or 100 students and then teaching them at one particular level. So here I am not really catering to the individual level of the student. But in this particular case, you're intelligent. That's the reason why it is known as a intelligent tutoring system. This is basically looking at the programs, right? Where you can give personalized as well as adaptive instruction as well as the feedback. The second one, the interesting one, is related to what could be termed as a dialogue-based tutoring system. So in this particular case, what the AI is doing is, it is using the NLP, your natural language processing, to engage learners in a conversation. So what is happening here? It is asking you questions. You're giving responses. It is giving the feedback, right? So some of the platforms are there, like Auto Tutor is there. It basically helps the college students to learn about the computer literacy. Deep Tutor is there. It is a physics-based teaching system or a tutoring system. You also language learning tutors that are there. Many applications are there where, especially when it comes to learning language, today you can easily learn a language using the tutoring systems related to the language learning apps. You have interactive exercises, lessons, as well as quizzes. Now let us see, this is where you're basically looking at the teaching part. Let us look at the student supporting part that is there. Exploratory learning, formative assessment, as well as AI-supported collaborative learning. So what does it basically mean? Now, what is happening here is, when you're talking about exploratory learning environment, you're talking about hands-on exploration and manipulation of tools and objects. How it is done? I repeat once again, hands-on exploration and manipulation of tools and objects. So, for example, you're talking about a virtual laboratory. You're talking about a simulation. Maybe you're talking about doing an experiment which otherwise is dangerous for the student to directly conduct the experiment because there are some safety concerns that are there. Now here, your exploratory learning environment is going to help you in terms of doing this. Now this allows the students to learn by doing. You say, quite interestingly, here again, you're talking about letting the student explore, right? You allow the students to learn by doing, making their own discoveries. Formative assessments, very interesting perspective. See, when we are talking about the fundamental understanding, the student could be at any level, but you're talking about an application, you're talking about a concept, you're talking about an idea, you're talking about a skill. Now here the AI basically gauges the strengths and weaknesses of the individual students, right? So what it does is, when it comes to the formative assessment, you see this. If the student gets the concept fundamentally correct, the next steps are relatively easy. But at a very fundamental level, when you're talking about that formative assessment where you're trying to test the conceptual understanding, the kind of clarity a student needs to have at the level of the concept or the idea or the skill, in this particular case, the AI can quickly pinpoint individual or group misunderstandings, enabling faster intervention before concepts solidify incorrectly. Now you see, this is quite interesting. At the formative level, if a wrong concept is solidified, later it becomes very difficult because you need to undo whatever the incorrect understanding was there, and then again you need to start from the scratch. Now, in this particular case, formative assessment, your AI is helping by quickly looking at the misunderstandings that happen at the formative level. Next comes your AI supported collaborative learning. So students can collaborate. You have AI-powered conversational agents are there. You can interact with them. You can use AI to enhance teamwork, knowledge sharing among the students, right? Now, let us look at the teacher perspective. right? Using AI to support the teacher. Now, let me tell you, most of us face this in our classroom, this scenario. We don't know how many students are really following us. We don't know how many students are using a phone. We don't know how many students are bored without lecture. So interesting in this particular perspective, what is happening is your AI is used to evaluate and grade learners' written work automatically. Apart from that, what it does is, because based on the analytics, it can provide the insights into the students' activity, can highlight students who may need help or not participating or as expected. So this is where it is not directly teaching, but rather it is supporting the teacher, right? So you have lots of AI teaching assistants available for you, right? So what happens here is your AI agents or chatbots, they provide the answers to commonly asked questions by learners. Simple instructions, simple directions are given. And with the training over a period of time, the AI system is going to broaden the range of answers as well as the options provided. Next comes the pedagogical resource recommendation. Specific learning activity based on student preferences. Please see this. This is entirely different from the conventional perspective. We are basically looking at AI recommendation engines to recommend specific learning activity based on students' preferences, progress, as well as needs. See, this Khan Migo, all of you would be knowing about the Khan Academy, which is very brilliant, especially when it comes to teaching mathematics for students, right? We have even people like Bill Gates who trained their children using Khan Academy. Now, in this particular case, Khan Migo, this is one of the platform. This is an AI-powered tool for education, which does basically the teacher supporting role. Now, the second perspective is related to the system supporting role. So when I look at my entire university or a college as a system, right? So a lot of data is gathered from a system perspective. So what happens here is this data is analyzed and then it is used to plan how we can best allocate the resources. Like say, for example, creating class groupings, assigning teachers, making the timetables, maybe also able to identify the students who might require additional learning support. That means at a system level, we are basically, it may not be directly related to just the teaching part that is there, but as I told you, like the AI systems, they learn from the data. Since you have access to a lot of data, this data is mined, and then from the knowledge that is gathered from this particular data, you can just look in terms of making the right kind of decisions. Interestingly, your AI can also identify the learning difficulties. This is again where AI scores better. So guidance services, right? Based on the student profile, relevant recommendations can be created. Again, your natural language processing is going to be there. Just like the way you're conversing with someone else, right? Your AI is able to locate or identify basically what are the drawbacks of the student, what are the learning difficulties, and then it is basically going to help them in terms of overcoming these difficulties. Sometimes you have to really understand that these AI systems, they're quite good in terms of identifying these scenarios. But as I told you, AI can do a lot of things. Similarly, you have a lot of challenges that are created by the AI. Now, let us look at the first scenario. Just now, we have seen at least around 5 to 6 different scenarios where AI could be used. Now, is the teacher role clearly defined? Very, very important, especially when it comes to you, the human role when you are working with AI, what AI can do, to what extent you're allowing AI to do things, and what is the role of the human being here? What is the role of the teacher, right? What do you do if the AI discriminates? We'll see later. Can AI discriminate? Say, for example, can AI discriminate against a student because the student comes from a particular backdrop? We have issues that are there because at the end of the day, you're saying that your AI is trained by data. When your AI is trained by data, if this data itself has got certain drawbacks, right? All this is human generated data, right? So again, you need to look in terms of whether any issues could be there. What kind of procedures you have for teachers to monitor and intervene whenever it is needed, right? Similarly, if your concerns are not addressed, you want to opt out of the AI system, right? And at the same time, okay, overconfidence and over reliance on the AI, right? These are some of the questions that need to be addressed immediately. Do teachers and school leaders have all the training and information needed in order to effectively use the system? Are you sure that the AI system is safe, it doesn't harm, or it doesn't violate the rights of students? When AI system knows that I have difficulties in my learning, what happens if this data is captured by someone else? They know my weaknesses in learning, right? So a lot of issues related to the data perspective is there. Now, what are the AI methods and features used in the system, right? What can AI take over and what not? Do we really understand how this AI works? This is a major challenge. Explainable AI, we call it as. Not always AI is clear in terms of how it gives the results. There are certain scenarios where you can very clearly explain as to how a particular outcome is being generated, but is it available all the time? No, right? Similarly, you have instructions and information. Are they accessible, right? So that both teachers as well as students, they can use them. There are some of the issues that are there. Like I said, the diversity, non-discrimination, fairness. Are there procedures to ensure that all these are taken care, right? Because one of the biggest problems with AI is bias. If your data is biased, in turn, very clearly you need to understand that your system is biased. There are scenarios where, just to quote from an example, when the loans were processed, let's say when human beings were processing the loans, this is a case in United States where black were discriminated. That means typically the number of loans that were given to the black people were less compared to that of white. So in the application level itself, if the AI understands, because the AI is trained on the basis of this particular data, so at the application level itself, if this AI catches that and it tries to replicate the same thing, that leads to discrimination. There are multiple cases related to as to how AI could be biased. So how do you ensure this diversity and non-discrimination as well as the fairness? And similarly, how does AI affect the social and emotional well-being, both the learner as well as the teacher? Important questions are there, right? Is your AI system actually replicating a social interaction? Because it is simulated. Can it have feelings? Can it have empathy? There are no clear-cut answers as of now. As of now, the very clear indication is that we are trying to generate the feelings as well as empathy, but as of now, AI systems, they just follow the rules, right? Now, what is the role of the students' parents, right? And how do you evaluate student well-being while you are using this? Are there any cases, say for example, I'm sorry to say this, but there were certain cases where AI actually motivated students to commit suicide in a different context. When the students asked for advice on how to commit a suicide, AI gave answers, more or less in a way it encouraged. You just look at the level of maturity of the student or even a teenager, right? Are there any built-in systems to prevent the harm that could potentially be caused by the AI? And privacy as well as data governance, multiple issues. Every AI system is based on data. Every AI system collects data, whether it is in the education scenario, whether it is in the e-commerce scenario, whether it is in the healthcare scenario, your AI keeps on collecting data. Now, this data is very sensitive. Say, for example, what happens if my health data is available to someone else? Or you can look at a simple scenario like, what if your browsing data is available with someone else, right? So how do you control this access to the data? Because your AI automatically collects a lot of data, right? Do you inform really the teachers as well as the students in terms of how much of their data is being collected, how it is being used, who is in control of this particular data? What are the kinds of privacy issues that are there? What are the kinds of security measures that you are taking? And then finally, we are also looking in terms of the technical robustness as well as the safety, right? So especially when you look at this AI systems in terms of its meeting the prescribed goals as well as the intended applications, can you monitor it, right? Do you have any oversight mechanism for data collection, storage, and processing? And similarly, we are talking about the technical robustness as well as the safety. And who is finally accountable? If A has taken a particular decision, especially when you're talking about, let's say, issues related to how the A does the assessment, how A does or enhance the teaching as well as the learning processes, who is responsible and accountable for the final decision? regarding the procurement and implementation of the AI system. Obviously, colleges and schools, they themselves will not develop their own AI systems. You need to, just like the way today you are buying software and hardware from a third party, you're going to basically procure these AI solutions from a third party. At the end of the day, who is responsible and who is accountable? That's quite an interesting scenario. Now, this is the learning canvas that we have seen so far, both from the student as well as the teacher perspective, how AI can be useful in terms of learning, how AI can actually support the teachers. We have seen a few perspectives. So now when we are talking about the AI in research, this is another dimension, right? Your research today, the meaning of research, maybe before AI and after AI, we need to really see in terms of how the purpose as well as process of the research could be affected by AI. Now let us look at a few scenarios that are there. Today I can ask a tool like ChatGPT to write a paper by giving a particular topic. Because this ChatGPT has been trained on billions of parameters, almost all the data across the web, right? It will be able to basically combine. We talked about this pre-trained transformer, right? Generative pre-trained transformer, GPT. You have a mechanism where it will understand my request and then it keeps on giving the output. And in fact, if I need to revise this output also, it can refine it, right? Now let us see this. Human intervention and control, critically important, especially when it comes to the research part. What are the risks involved? One is that it can generate fake references. This is what is known as hallucination. Especially when you look at the tools like ChatGPT, if it makes on its own certain references which are not actually there. If I'm blindly going with it, it is going to do that. Or sometimes it can just produce just like okay kind of a thing, mediocre kind of a work that is there. Or sometimes it might just copy from the existing papers that leads to plagiarism. Now, all these are the risks associated, especially when you're looking at using AI in the generation of the research. Now, let us see this. Definitely, this Gen AI has got a lot of promise in terms of a significant advancement. But at the same time, complex issues in research community. Like I said, authenticity. Can I claim an AI paper to be authored by me? Next one is, we have seen that AI generally uses the existing data and then it tries to produce the output. What about the integrity? What about the ethical standards that are there? So now we are right now in a phase of flux. This is where towards the end we will discuss in terms of what could be the best practices that could be identified and that could be formulated. So Gen AI tools, radical change in the very purpose as well as nature of scholarly research. Over-reliance. Now, if my whole idea of research is critical thinking, copying something which is given as an output by Gen AI, that is not serving the purpose. So what happens if our scholars or students just start copying things from the AI output and stop critical thinking? Where is the original idea generation? That's a very interesting question, right? One more interesting, what is appropriate here? Right now we are saying that, okay, students are using. Question is, how do you define the appropriateness in terms of usage? What is appropriate and what is not, right? So interesting perspective. Can I use AI, let us say for literature review, which earlier used to take me, let us say 2 or 3 months. Now I'll be able to do it in 1 week. Now we need to think on this perspective, right? Maybe without directly producing the content or me not trying to copy the content as it is, can I use it? Can I use AI as a mentor instead of a creator, right? So basically I'm taking the help of AI in terms of refining myself, where I am looking at AI as a mentor rather than looking at AI as the creator. Now, when you're talking about the academic research, right? Can we look at the role of AI as a supporting tool without overshadowing the intellectual contributions? Again, just like the way we discussed in teaching and learning, the human in the loop approach is very much important. You can't leave everything to AI you need to define in terms of what AI can do, what AI should not do, and what is the role of the human being when the human interacts with the AI, right? So if I basically look at the routine time-intensive tasks, freeing researchers to focus on high-level analysis and creative thinking, that is fine. But instead of me doing the creative thinking or high-level analysis, if I leave it to AI, what kind of output could be there? Now, this is basically how the journal's policies are changing, right? Preparing your manuscript artificial intelligence policy. So you can see this informs PubSec Online. Very clearly, it gave the policy guidelines in terms of how the researchers can use AI. We cannot prevent authors from using generative AI in the preparation of their manuscripts. However, authors are expected to take full responsibility for the accuracy of the submitted version. Submission of a manuscript is taken as a declaration that the authors reviewed and edited any AI-generated content as needed. If the reviewer sees strong evidence that the use of AI tool in a paper caused errors, the reviewer should notify the associate editor. See, this kind of scenario was never imagined 5 years back. Because what is happening here, the interesting perspective is, there's a tool that can generate everything. Now I need to really see what is the contribution of the tool versus what is the contribution of the researcher. Interestingly, when it comes to the review process, let me tell you, it is not only in terms of writing papers. What about the reviewers? What are the reviewers doing? Reviewers are giving the paper to the AI and asking it to review. Quite interesting. Say, for example, I am submitting a paper. So I generated a paper using ChatGPT and then I submitted it to you. You are a reviewer. What you did is you gave that paper to ChatGPT and asking it for a review, right? So again, there are policies very clearly in terms of reviewers not using the AI. Uploading manuscripts into public domain AI server may violate confidentiality as well as the copyright. So what they're saying is very clearly, when it comes to the review, they're not allowing the reviewers to use the AI part. Similarly, you can see this, lots of policy changes are there. When you look at some of the leading journals that are there, use of generative AI, AI-assisted technologies, journal peer review process. Again, when you look at this Elsevier part, they have a different perspective as to how they could basically start looking at the role of AI when it comes to the research. Now let us look at the scenarios that are related to AI. As I told you, your machine learning or AI, it starts by learning from the data. So bias in the data, because the data has been created earlier by the human beings, right? It inherits the bias. Privacy concerns, already we have seen, right? How this data that is collected from the users is being used, how it is stored, right? Do you have any options in terms of giving your consent or saying that I want to opt out of your data storage? No clear-cut policy as of now. And similarly, can AI actually encourage students to cheat? Because when I think that my job is just in terms of copying, it can hinder the learning, right? Critical thinking is gone. So what students should know? The first one is that you can just generate an essay. It is very easy, matter of 5 minutes, but your essays lack originality. And in fact, most of us, we know very clearly when something is generated from AI, you can see the repetition in terms of the common phrases and ideas. The recycling part is there. So very clearly, the student or the researcher has to understand that AI cannot replace critical thinking. So if you really think in terms of an AI-generated paper, the first question you need to ask is, first of all, why are you asking a student to write a paper? The very purpose of writing a paper is getting defeated if you are looking at AI-generated paper. Because very clearly, AI-generated paper means missing out on essential academic skill development. When I claim myself that I am in academics, right? Where is the critical thinking that is needed? Where is the kind of analytical skill that is needed if I just copy from AI? So as we have seen, you have issues related to plagiarisms. Sometimes professors, what they are doing is they are giving prompts and finding out what the AI is giving as an output. If this output is matching with what the student is giving, probably they are able to reverse engineer and find that the student is actually cheating. Now, as we come to the deeper questions in terms of the roadmap ahead for the AI, especially in the context of higher education. I have taken a few perspectives from UNESCO, from the World Bank, from European Commission, right? Now, when we look at from the UNESCO, that is United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization, it basically says that this is a civilizational transformation. They look at AI just like the way earlier we said that there are many waves of technologies that altered the civilization. Now, this is basically a civilization transformation. Now, their focus is or concern is on human dignity, ethical governance, cultural diversity, right? So again, their recommendation is that AI should remain human-centered and rights-based. And especially education is not a public good. It is not a market commodity, because the very nature of education has got a different purpose compared to the other commodities that are available in the market. So basically what they say is they are looking at a future as to, they're saying normatively, this is how it should be, right? They are looking in terms of AI as to what it should be in the future. Now let us look at the perspective of the World Bank, right? They are looking at AI as a development issue, right? So they are looking at essentially skill gaps. If AI is coming, right? Just like the way during our generation, when computers were introduced, there were lots of skill gaps. In fact, most of us in our generation, we learned computer after entering the jobs because there was no training related to using the computers, especially even if it is related to something like a MS Office. Similarly, they are looking at the skill gaps. Now, AI coming, workforce displacement. Now, what kind of infrastructure requirements are there? Economic growth, poverty reduction. So this is the perspective of the World Bank. Now, Joint Research Center of the European Commission, what they are saying is that if you look at the AI part of it, especially from the educational perspective, now you have certain behavioral issues, you have certain cognitive issues and cultural issues. Right now, AI is at the behavioral levels in terms of routine things, whatever could be done, it is able to give you that. But then their perspective is that AI cannot replicate the deep learning as well as creativity or even what could be termed as the ethical agency. Now, coming to UNESCO again, they say that teachers are irreplaceable. So they are foreseeing a scenario where AI should support teachers, reduce the workload, enhance the inclusion. So the whole idea is that if AI can take care of the routine, mundane activity, right, teachers can focus on better activities, right? So AI cannot replace the professional judgment, right? You can't go with creating a surveillance classroom. And then even if AI is capable of taking certain inputs from the students, you can't allow AI for real-time emotional monitoring of the students. Similarly, when you talk about the World Bank, they're talking about teacher capacity building. And then, of course, your AI requires infrastructure. Can you look at low-cost, scalable solutions that are there? Especially in the lower income countries, they're looking at AI as a supportive tool where the teacher shortage exists. That means, can you really look at AI to help in terms of, it is not about replacing the teacher, but wherever there is shortage is there, can we use AI to basically fill that particular gap? Now, as we come towards the conclusion, let's look at a few scenarios. Now, typically, if I look at a faculty, we deliver the lectures, create the content, design the assignments, we do the grading, and we also do the research. Now, the interesting part is AI is entering all the 5 areas. Now, let us see this, the interesting scenarios that are there. If I am looking at myself as a content provider, I need to change from a content provider to a learning designer. I need to become a learning architect. What does it mean? I'm just not a content provider because content is everywhere today. Your content is there on internet, your content is there on AI tools. My job is creating learning experiences. My job is curating the resources. My job is related to the solving of the problems. My job is related to creating the real world applications. So the first one is related to how I can look at a transition rather than being a passive content deliverer, let me become a learning architect. The second perspective, can I look at my role just as someone who disseminates information? Okay, I keep on giving information. I keep on distributing information. But currently, your students can ask AI anything. Okay. But remember, can I teach my students how to evaluate the AI answers? Say, for example, student comes with an answer generated by an AI. Now I need to ask the student as to why this answer is correct. How can they defend that particular answer? Are there any errors in that particular answer? Right? Can I help the student to detect bias in the AI teaching? Can I look at helping the student to find out what are the sources based on which the AI is giving the content? And then most importantly, can I basically look at the critical reasoning, training the student on the critical reasoning, right? So this is again another interesting scenario. Rather than talking about just here is the answer, right? The other question is this answer valid? Just don't say that is this the answer, but rather ask, why is this answer valid? Why do you think that it is valid? That's where my role is changing. So we do a lot of, we spend a lot of time in grading. So can I move away from grading to mentoring, right? To grade objective answers, provide draft feedback, that AI can do. Can I look at personalized mentoring now? Can I better focus on supervising my scholars? Can I give them emotional and motivational support? Can I give them the career guidance? So here you're really looking at the difference a human being can make in the life of the student. Now, earlier we are talking about isolated teaching. Now we are talking about AI augmented teaching. What does it actually mean? As a teacher, I need to have a certain level of AI literacy. I'm not really looking at getting into the coding part or writing an algorithm, because maybe for some of the mathematics and the computer science people, it's an inherent part of their job. But say, for example, if I'm a teacher who is not related to the technology, I need to have an understanding of the AI tools. I need to have a little bit of understanding in terms of how these tools are going to work, ethical awareness, policy awareness. At the same time, when to allow AI use, when to restrict it, maybe how to redesign the assessment. Quite interesting perspectives. Now let's look at the research part of it. Your ChatGPT can write a research paper, no doubt about it. You can look at your AI tools, faster literature review, faster data analysis, faster coding, draft generation, tuck, tuck, tuck. It is going to be done within minutes or maybe maximum within hours. But then as a faculty, when I look at myself as a researcher as well as a supervisor who helps the budding researchers, I need to look at promoting the original thinking. Now you see this is quite interesting, right? How can I promote the original thinking? When I'm talking about the methodology, the rigor of the methodology, how can I improve it? When it comes to ethics, how can I improvise the ethical complaints? So the idea is your AI may accelerate the research, but it does not replace the academic judgment. Quite interesting again. Assessments, right? So now traditional exams, they may not work in the context of AI. In fact, when I started, I have shown you a small slide where the student was caught with the phone where he just opened ChatGPT and scanned the question paper and the answers are automatically there. Now, the very idea of assessment, do I need to look at more getting into case analysis, asking students to make live presentations, maybe a Viva VOC, maybe project-based learning, maybe the actual creative and reflective writing from the students, maybe giving them a real-time problem and asking them to solve it. So the basic idea here is you're not interested in terms of looking at how fast the candidate is able to type. That is not the question. You're not testing the typing, you're testing the thinking process. So when we are talking about, again, the scenarios related to the insights here, your AI as of now, when it comes to the cognition part of it, means especially the processing of the information, that's what we call it as the cognition. That part it might be able to do, the routine cognition part of it, because you're asking a question, it is able to give you the answers that is there. But moral reasoning, can AI do the moral reasoning? Can AI judge on the basis of the context? Can AI take into consideration the cultural backdrop?
Can AI look at the inspiration, mentorship, academic integrity? Because these are the traits that are largely associated with the human beings. At least as of now, we don't have these scenarios. So, for example, if I look at healthcare, X-rays, MRIs, your AI can do it very well. Finance, automated trading, fraud detection, it can do. Customer service, chatbots are there, virtual assistants are there. But when you look at moral reasoning, contextual judgment, cultural understanding, inspiration, mentorship, and academic activity, integrity, these are not there. Now, am I looking at coding skills? Definitely the answer is no. We are not looking at everyone becoming a data scientist, but then being in education, or whether we are in education or not, that's a secondary thing. AI literacy today is needed by everyone. During our days, there used to be questions in terms of whether MBAs really need to learn computers. Means should they really learn working with computers? That was a hypothetical question at that point of time. Do business managers, do they need a computer on their desk? Now we all know the answers today. So today the idea is that I may not be really looking at coding skills or becoming data scientist, but I need to understand what AI can do, what it cannot do. What are the kinds of mistakes it does? What kind of biases AI has got? What are the issues related to the data privacy? Am I blindly going with giving everything to an AI system? What is happening with respect to the data, right? So this is where we are basically looking at the conceptual literacy. So universities that treat AI as a strategic transformation will lead. If you just take it as a temporary kind of a scenario, at least with the kind of developments that are happening, you cannot reject AI, but at the same time, you can use AI as a means of strategic transformation of your own system, right? That is going to help you in a longer perspective. Now, let me give you some of the world's top universities as well as their AI policies. Now, if I look at MIT, right? MIT says, don't cheat or plagiarize with AI, use AI ethically and protect your data. Why I'm talking about this is, let's look at a few leading universities as to how they are looking at AI, because we understood that you can't avoid AI. So interestingly, the policy making, that means the policy making at the highest level of the education institution, or it is a university or at a ministry, when we are talking about this, you need to really debate and discuss and come out with the policy recommendations. So don't cheat or plagiarize with AI, use AI ethically and protect your data is what MIT says. But then interestingly, you need to define what is ethical use of AI also. So generally what is happening here is these kinds of policies, they are going to be over a period of time, they are going to be revisited, they are going to be refined. Harvard University is quite interesting. You look at Harvard University, policies vary by school and instructor. As a university, they are very clear saying that the policy of using the AI is dictated by the concerned school, concerned department, and the instructor. Follow your instructor's guidelines and the honor code. So whatever your instructor says, you follow by it. That means it is dependent on the person. National University of Singapore, you can use AI for assignments. They're saying that, okay, you may not write really the research papers, but you can use AI for assignments, but follow academic honesty and plagiarism rules. Acknowledge the AI use, that very specifically, whichever the areas are there, what is the kind of AI you have used, acknowledge it. Peking University, you see this, they have a very strict policy. Restricts AI use for core academic tasks. Penalties include degree revocation. Now, one of the strictest policies related to the usage of AI, Peking University, they are saying that you can't use AI for your core academic tasks. You can't just generate content like that, copy paste and claim that it is your work. Penalties include degree revocation also. If needed, they will take back your degree also. University of Chicago, don't use AI for assignments and exams unless permitted. This is quite interesting. NUS says that you can use AI for assignments. Now, the University of Chicago says, don't use AI for assignments or exams unless permitted. That means if someone permits, you can use it. Verify AI generated content and cite sources. They're happy saying that, okay, if you're permitted to use AI, verify AI generated content as well as you can cite the sources also. Now, as we come to the conclusion of this small discussion, okay, the $1 million question, is AI going to undermine the role of the teacher? Because as teachers, all of us, right, especially when you look at the evolution of technology, when calculators were introduced, then people thought that, okay, now no one is going to really look at doing the multiplication, or they're going to learn the multiplications. But actually the introduction of the calculator enhanced. That means you started getting into more complex calculations also using the calculators. Then later, all of us have seen as to how computers have come into the picture, and today your mobile phones have come into the picture. And generally, technology, when it scales up, almost in all the scenarios, when the scaling of the technology occurred, the cost of usage has come down. So accessibility increases. So now what is the road ahead for us? AI may not be able to replicate the human elements like empathy, emotional intelligence, or the ability to foster human connections. Now you see very clearly, even though we claim that people are talking to the AI systems about their problems, they're trying to get some relief, your AI is still a technology that has been created by human beings. So empathy, emotional intelligence, and the ability to foster human connections, these are the areas where as people we can do better than AI. So when you look at teachers, they're essential for building relationships with the students. See, in my role as a teacher, I'm in touch with the next generation. Just see in terms of the kind of potential you have when you build relationships with the future generations. Address their needs. They need support, create a supportive learning environment. So AI cannot and likely will not replace teachers. If I go by at least two great people who gave their opinion about teaching. Of course, they were not there when AI was there. That means they were not in the era of AI. But then, if you look at Albert Einstein, he says, it's the supreme art of the teacher to awaken joy in creative expression and knowledge. See, it is all about how you awaken the creative expression of the student. And Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan, true teachers are those who help us think for ourselves. Your ChatGPT is not a teacher. It just gives the answers. But a true teacher, basically, they will help us to think for ourselves, right? So these are the, of course, I have not used any direct cut, copy, paste. This PPT took almost 15 to 20 hours for me. But then if I look at the references, in fact, identifying themselves has been a challenge because we deal with a very broad topic. So I have basically gone with the UNESCO's content, then I have gone with the World Bank content, then I have gone with the US Department of Education, ethical guidelines, as well as others. So this is where I would like to stop my discussion. Any questions? Okay, fortunately the camera came back after the presentation.
Sir, you can stop sharing, sir, so that you can.
Sure, sir. Sorry.
Yeah. Anybody? The talk is open for discussion.
I request any faculty members, please interact if you have any queries.
Maybe I think it's lunchtime. People are hungry.
Sir.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah, please.
I'm Professor Ramji, Vice Chancellor, Krishna University.
Sir.
Sir, this LMS with AI, can we make any interface? What are the content or animation or any which is already developed automatically bringing instead of selection?
Yeah, you can generate, sir.
Is it I want to use GenAI or which AI I want to use for
GenAI can be used, sir. In fact, we tried with this. What happened is we tried to generate how, this brand called as Dettol is there. So if Dettol produces milk, we asked ChatGPT to generate the package or the bottle of milk with the trade name called as Dettol. So interestingly, what it has done is it generated exactly a Dettol kind of a logo with the milk.
Okay, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
ఏదో హ్యాండ్ రైట్ చేశారు సార్ సఫుల్లా భాష.
Yeah,
Bhasha,
Bhasha garu, you are now allowed to speak. Praful Bhasha garu, please, you can speak now.
He's not available somewhere. Where is he?
If there are no queries, shall we close? Any participants? Sir, thank you very much for your sparing your valuable time and taking a wonderful session, sir. It is really wonderful, and kindly share your presentation, sir, so that the participants will get benefited out of it. And
Sure, sir. I will share it with you, sir.
On behalf of AP State Council of Higher Education, thank you very much for all your running service. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Srinivas garu. Thank you very much
Thank you,
for
sir.
the nice
Thank you.
presentation. Thank you for
Thank
spending
you, sir.
time. Thank you.
Sir.
Thank you.
I'll take leave, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir.